Hi, I'm Dennis from Collectiv, and today we'll be covering everything you need to know about Power BI. Power BI is so popular and widely used throughout organizations. However, it can be difficult to learn because it has so many capabilities and tools within the Power BI umbrella. So Power BI is not just one tool, it's many tools combined into one tool set for you. Today, my goal is to bring you through those capabilities so you can use Power BI to its maximum potential. So what is Power BI? If you go to Microsoft's website, they have a very generic definition, but it's really so much more than that. Power BI is an ETL tool, data modeling so you can build your facts and dimensions along with the relationships between those. You can also build all of your data visualizations, which most people know Power BI as a data visualization tool, but it's so much more than that. You can also build your Power BI data sets, and that promotes self-service analytics within your organization. And then with the new release of data marts, you can actually start collecting your data and start building data sets off of that newly collected data. Power BI is important for a few different reasons. One of the most common uses we see with our clients using Power BI is self-service and enterprise analytics. Organizations typically have a lot of disjointed reporting, whether that be through Excel or other data analytics tools. With Power BI, we can actually build data sets that support that type of self-service analytics. So this is approved by IT, it's been tested. Now these users can use that data set to build their own analytics. And in doing so, it helps them create actionable insights within the organization that normal analytics such as Excel and other tools similar to that would not provide you. Power BI is also capable of connecting to many different data sources, whether that be SQL Server, SAP, Dynamics, QuickBooks, or any other software that you're using throughout your organization. There's a large chance that Power BI can connect to it. Another reason Power BI is so important and really easy to implement from an IT perspective is that it's already integrated with Azure Active Directory. So people can log in using their current credentials that they have for their Microsoft Outlook or other Microsoft applications, and all of that security is built into Power BI already. And one of the fairly new features with Power BI is all of its AI capabilities. So we can build AI visualizations where you can ask natural language questions, and Power BI will do its best to actually produce that in a visual perspective. One of the most common questions we receive from our clients is Power BI the same as Excel? And the short answer is no. It is not the same tool, two separate tools within the Microsoft ecosystem. But they do have some similarities. Two of the most common similarities between Excel and Power BI is Power Pivot and Power Query. Power Pivot is a tool within Excel where you can build your data model, your relationships, and all of your DAX measures. That also exists in Power BI Desktop. Now it's not called Power Pivot, it's just native inside of Power BI Desktop. You can go to your model view to create your relationships between your fact and dimensions tables, and then you can go to any of the views to build your DAX measures. So those tools do exist, and they're very similar between the two tools. Power Query exists in both Excel and Power BI, and that's where you can do all of your data transformations. It's sort of a low-code ETL tool. So you can bring in your data, you can do any transformations, merges, appends, changing column names, changing data types, and then load that into your data model. And so that is another similarity between Excel and Power BI. With the new Power BI features, you can actually integrate Power BI directly with Excel. So once you've built all of your relationships, you've built your data model inside of Power BI Desktop, when you publish that data model to the Power BI service, it becomes a Power BI data set. And then now you can connect Excel straight into that Power BI data set, and you can build pivot tables within Excel off of that data set, and it's fully refreshable. So you can save that Excel file, go back to it, click refresh data, and as long as your data set is refreshing in the Power BI service, you should see updated data moving forward. Most people see Power BI as just a data visualization tool, where it's really not just that. It's actually so much more robust. There's a lot of tools within the Power BI ecosystem. There's extract, transform, and load tools or ETL tools such as Power Query. There is data modeling tools where you can build relationships between your tables, build your DAX measures. They have the data visualization, so that is there, and you can do that in both Power BI Desktop and the Power BI service. And then once you actually build your report and publish to the Power BI service, then it actually can get even more complicated once you're trying to deploy to your end users. Whether you want to build row-level security so people can only see the data that they have access to, whether you want to create workspaces for different departments within your organization, how are you going to distribute your reports and dashboards to the end users? Is that through the workspace or is that through your Power BI app? Do you need to collect your own data and use the data marts feature? So as you can see, there's a lot more complicated features within Power BI, and that's really what we want to show you and train you on. Obviously, we are big fans of Power BI. We are a Power BI implementation firm. But if you're wondering if there's other tools out there other than Power BI and you want to explore your options, Power BI and Tableau are your options. Those are the two biggest tools out there that have very similar features. They are both reporting and dashboard tools, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses. There is no one perfect tool. Although we are partial to Power BI, our recommendation is to evaluate your IT strategy and see what tool fits your needs. If your firm is already using Microsoft 365 for email and Outlook, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, OneNote already have those features, then Power BI is going to be a really great choice for you because it already integrates with Azure AD, all of your security groups and users, and all you have to do is assign them a Power BI license or use the Power BI free license to get started, and you can move forward from there. Moving to Power BI Desktop, the first thing we need to do is acquire our data. So you go up here to Home, click Get Data, select the drop-down, and then choose your data source. Today, my data source is a text CSV document, so I'm going to click Text CSV. And then now, I'm going to go into my data source and select my sales table. Now that our data is loaded into our model, before we actually start building out visualizations, what we'll want to do is go to the left-hand side and select Model. Now we see our two tables, our sales and our product. I have a setting, and in Power BI Desktop the setting is by default that it will auto detect relationships. So that means Power BI will evaluate your columns and see which ones are named the same and then build a relationship, which is this line that tells us it's a one-to-many, and this little triangle is pointing to sales, meaning that the product table filters your sales table. And we can hover over to see what field that relationship's made on. In this case, it's the product key, and that's the column that I want the relationship to be built on. So Power BI did get this right. There are times when Power BI creates relationships for you that are not correct. So you want to go evaluate each relationship and make sure it's made on the correct columns. Now that we have that, let's say Power BI did not create this for you. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So now I need to build a relationship between my product and my sales table. In this case, I know the product key in the sales table should relate to the product key in the product table. So all I have to do is hover over product key from product, drag and drop it over the product key column in the sales table. And now you'll see that the relationship's created. Now we can go build our report. The first thing that I do in building a report is give it a title. So you'll see that I can't type inside of this report canvas right now, but what I can do is insert a text box. So I'll go to Home and I'll click Text Box. Now that the text box created, I can start typing just like you would in PowerPoint or Word. You can go in and click Sales Report. We can readjust. I think this might be a little small for a title, so I can highlight, adjust my font size to 24, maybe bold it, and I think that's good for now. So now we have our title. The next thing we want to do is build a few visualizations. When I'm building visualizations, I typically like to ask myself, what is the end user needing to see in this report to give them some insight into their portion of the business? The first thing I'm going to do is build a few KPI cards. So we know that we have the order quantity, the sales amount, and the sales price columns. Those seem like they would be extremely valuable for the end user. And what I'm going to do is add those to the KPI cards. Now in those KPI cards, I'll add sales amount. And you'll see all I did was go and select the checkbox when I have the KPI card visual selected. And we have 83 million in sales. Now what we'll want to do is actually format this so the sum of sales amount is maybe up here and it's only labeled sales amount. So what we're going to do is select that KPI visual, select format your visual, and then under the visual tab, turn off your category label, go to general, turn on your title, and now put sales amount. And now I'm going to go ahead and center and bold. So that's the first visual we've created. And this is a dollar figure, so we'll want to show it in dollar format. All we have to do now is select sales amount, go into column tools, and select dollar. Perfect. So now we have our first KPI. What makes report development really fast, let's say we want to duplicate this. Select your visual, click copy, and then click paste. And then click paste one more time so you get 3 versions. And now we'll align these. You can use the red lines to align them. Now in this column, in this visual, I want to add the order quantity field. So I can drag order quantity to the fields pane. And now it shows me 181,000. But we need to go change our title. So select the KPI card, go to format your visual, go to general, then go to title, and type in order quantity. The last KPI card will be from sales price, so we'll just repeat that same process. In sales price, it does not necessarily make sense to sum the sales price. What a better metric would be the average of the sales price. So we want to see our average sales price. And to do that, you just hover over the fields, click the down arrow, and change it to average. So now there is our average sales price. We can go add that title so it makes sense. Perfect. And we'll want to format this as a dollar as well. So we'll click our sales price column on the right hand side and then select dollar. And we really only want 2 decimal places. So in here I'll type 2, click enter. And now we should only see 2 decimal places. Now we need to build 2 visualizations. I'm going to go ahead and build the matrix and the bar chart. You can choose whatever visualization you think your end user would like the most. So I'll start with the matrix visual. It's the table, but with the blue outer line. So you select that and it will insert that type of visualization. Now I'm going to make it half of my page and make sure the spacing is according. Now in this, I'm going to add the order quantity and the sales amount. Now you could see sum of sales amount. It has some significant digits. We'll want to select sales amount and then type in 2 in the decimal places. We'll also want to add a comma to the order quantity field. So I'll select order quantity and then click the comma icon. Now I have 2 fields added to my visual. Maybe I just want to see this visual broken down by product. So I can open up my product table and drag in product name to the rows. Now I have my total dollar amount and my order quantity broken down by products. The next thing, you want to do is probably sort by your sales amount, and now you see your largest products. We can add a hierarchy, so if we want to see maybe product subcategory before we see product name, we can just drag that in. And now here's my product subcategory. Now you see that this is the key value, and that means we need to bring in another table so we get the subcategory name. And we can do that very quickly. So we'll get data, we'll go text CSV, and then we'll find the product subcategory table. Now that we have the new subcategory table, we'll go into dimensions. We'll create the relationship. We can see Power BI already created that for us. We'll hover over it to ensure that it's the correct column, which it is. Now I can go back to my visualizations, select the table, open up my product subcategory table, and we'll drag in product subcategory name into the rows and remove out the key. Now I have a breakdown of the subcategory, and then if I wanted to go see the actual products under that category, I can click the plus icon to see that. And now we've built our matrix visualization. The next type of visualization that I want to show you is actually the line chart. And what we're going to build is an analysis of the sales amount over a period of time. So we'll bring in our order date key, and this should just be a date field. You can see that it comes in as a hierarchy. In our case, we want it to just show the date. So we can do the drop down and select order date key. And now we have a date format. Most people choose to format their date a little bit differently, and what we can do is select order date key, go to format, and then choose the format that you want. The next step is to add in the sales amount field. So we'll go ahead and add in sales amount. Now this table is not very helpful. It just shows order date by sales amount. Now what we want to do is format this as a table. So select the visual and we'll go into the line chart. And now we have analysis of all of our sales amounts over a period of time. And you can see it by day. This is by month, but when you hover over the tooltip, you can see it by day. If you want, you can add additional filters, like maybe we want to only see a certain time period. So we are going to add in quickly a filter or a slicer visual. So you add the slicer, add in the order date column, and now we have our first filter. We can drag that into some open white space. And let's say I only want to see 2014. I'll go to 1/1/2014. And now you'll see after I did that, it filtered the whole report page to just year-to-date 2014. And with that, you have built your whole report. You can, again, modify it as you see fit. This is a very simple, down and dirty report. It can get a lot more complicated, but at least you see the basics of the Power BI features. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you're interested in learning more about Power BI, a great place to start would be our Power BI Foundations course. Our Foundations course can be both virtual or in person. We can tailor it to your specific needs, and it really brings you through a great overview of Power BI, how to build your reports, and lastly, how to distribute to your end users.